pantry in your kitchen is such a bonus. It keeps a busy workspace neat and tidy. That is, of course, until you have to use it. This is definitely a case of out of sight, out of mind. This lot needs cleaning up. I guess you're always going to have a few little surprises. The old donut. With the pantry empty and clean, what we need to do now is set up a system, because without a system, you know what's going to happen. It's going to go right back to the beginning. Now, cake tins and trays are an ideal thing to store in the pantry. If you lay them flat, what happens is if you want to access the one underneath, you're going to have to pull the whole pile over like that just to get the one. So setting up a tension rod system is a really neat way to go. If you get a curtain track like this from Spotlight, you get these little spring-loaded ends. Cut the curtain track down to the space between the shelves and then pop the little end cap on. And the great thing about this is if you do want to change the system and sort of slightly move them along, you can do so and just adjust them to suit. It's a great idea for renters as well because you don't damage anything in the cupboards. Most people store their plastic containers in the corner cupboard of the kitchen, but you know that's destined for disaster because everything's just going to get lost in the back of that cupboard. Now, the lady of the house, she actually stored her plastic tubs right down here in the bottom of the pantry, which makes a lot of sense because there's all of this extra height so they can really stack up. So with that in mind, I've got some of these drawers to install, basically containers for the containers. Now this thing is quite cute because what happens is if you've got, say, a couple of tins of tomatoes already in there, when you come home from shopping, you just put the new tins in and they literally roll down and push the older ones to the front. So it's like a rotation for your cans, so they always are in date order. You basically need two sides and a couple of shelves. Now I've gone to a little extra trouble and had these painted white just to make it look fancier in the pantry. You don't even have to do that. Now you start with just an off-cut. Now this goes at one end under the bottom shelf and it creates like a little ramp system. So you just glue that in place and you can see how this works. It makes the can just roll forward. And you can also see that the width of this is dictated by the height of the can. Now of course you need the second shelf on top. You'll need two extra pieces of pine, one slightly wider than the other. These act as spacers. Now the one goes down one end and one goes almost down to the other end. You can see it's just a little bit shorter, which allows for the width of the can, just so that it can drop through to the next shelf. So glue all of these pieces together. And to stop the cans actually rolling out the front and out of the pantry onto the floor, you will need a small lip. Glue that in position. And you can see here that I'm not using any nails or any screws. The glue is actually strong enough to hold the whole thing together. You just need some clamps just to clip it in place while that glue dries. And then when everything's dry, you can take off the clamps and it's ready to go in the cupboard. Probably one of the biggest frustrations with plastic containers is you never seem to be able to find the right lid to match the right base. Well, if you go for the colour-coded containers, it makes that a thing of the past. Orange bases, orange lids. So easy. And the great thing is they all match up and they come in different shapes and sizes. When you stack your jars back in the pantry, this is what always happens. You just get one set of jars hidden behind the other and you never know what's there, and that's how things end up at the back of the cupboard. But enter one of these, a little stacking stage, just means you can elevate some of the jars behind the others. You can read the labels clearly and know exactly what's in your pantry. If your pantry is a little bit cave-like and on the dark side, you can always pick up these battery sensor lights from Bunnings. They just stick in, they really do make such a difference. You know, you really can save a lot of room in the pantry by taking your food out of the packets and storing them in tubs. Now these ones are stackable. If you're worried about the food going stale, don't be, because with these particular containers, with the press of a button and the side wings just clicked in place, it's completely airtight. Too easy. Gotta love Susan, even if she is lazy. Well, I bet you've got pantry envy now. You know what I really love? It's the fact that you can see everything at a glance. And it actually appears as though we've doubled the size of this pantry, only you'll halve the amount of time you'll spend looking for things in the future.